Hello everyone, it's Stamp Ventures with Shauna, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Canada. Welcome to my Tuesday tutorial on Tuesday, February 21st of 2023, and it's about 9:06 p.m. So I'm a few minutes late getting started here. Last week it was Valentine's Day, and I did my video earlier in the day, and then I was able to relax and spend time with my family that evening. I thought I might try doing a video again earlier in the day today, and it didn't happen. I was too busy running around and doing a few things, this and that. I had lots of what do I want to say? Lots of errands today. Oh, I gotta check and see. Yeah, there, had to turn off the sound on my iPad. Well, hello, Pam. Yes, long time no see. Yeah, it's been a while since we've connected, but I made it on tonight. And tonight I'm going to do like a super simple Christmas card. It's basically going to be stamps, ink, and some paper. Sometimes I'm, wanting to do cards and doing them in a mass production. And I look at all these beautiful ideas online, but I get overwhelmed. Like there's so many choices and there's so many little cuts and lots of layers and things that they will look absolutely beautiful, but like sometimes I just feel overwhelmed by it. So tonight's card is super simple. If you're starting out with your stamping journey, this might be a good video for you to watch to get some great tips on just how to reproduce cards, several at a time, and just some basic things that you should know about your stamps, your ink, and your paper. So we'll get started shortly. I'm missing my funny for tonight. I went down to the computer and I was not able to print off my, my little joke for the evening. And so I don't have that for you today, but I do have a weather report. And here it is. Today's weather hurts your face. Those of you who know how cold it is here in Saskatchewan understand this. We've all of a sudden gone back into very deep cold winter, and you can't be like there's weather warnings out there for how cold it is, and in the next couple of days the warmest it's going to get is 20 degrees below the point where ice freezes. So yeah, we're not super happy campers here. The only thing that I can say for today is at least it was sunny, but yeah, that cold weather hurts your face. And so today's weather report is brought to you by the Christmas to Remember stamp set from the annual catalog, and I'm going to be using this stamp set today and just thinking, they could have changed this saying for us in the cold weather areas from magic is in the air to pain is in the air, frosty pain. So, Christmas to Remember, I'm going to be using, this greeting here for the card I'm making today, but this one would also work really well too. The card idea that I'm going to share with you was inspired by a card that I saw another demonstrator post. Her name is Linda Bartolucci, I think is how to say it. And it's one that I liked and thought, I could make a whole bunch of those. Now my adhesive just went flying. I am not going to make like tons and tons of them, but I'm going to show you how I cut and prep for 8 cards. I thought 8 was a nice achievable number, and just think if I did 8 Christmas cards this month and 8 the next and 8 the next, even if I only did it, I'm late getting my months of Christmas cards started, as I didn't get a Christmas card video done in January. But if I did it for 11 months, even say 10 months, and I did 8 cards at each month, look at that. I'd have 80 cards by the end of November. That's awesome. So yeah, I'm going to start with the first 8 here tonight. Now I'll just take a check here and see. Oh, Pam, don't be mad at me, but it was 71 in my part of North Carolina today in sunny. Well, that's awesome. And we beg of you, please send some of that warmth our way, because yeah, we're having some silly cold days here. And you had a lady last week ask me to do her Christmas cards for her this coming year. Okay, yeah. Well, it's good to start now, because that gives you lots of time and you don't have to rush at the end. I've done that, and yeah, it's not all that fun. So yeah, start now. Okay, so I decided, like I said, I'm going to make 8 cards. I'm going to pull out the cardstock first for my base. And when I am using white as my base for my card, I tend to like the thick basic white. We have regular, well, it's just called basic white cardstock. They don't put the word regular in front of it. But the thick is a little bit extra sturdier. That will help it to stand up. And this is going to be a tent fold card. So sometimes those tents want to droop a little bit. And I will be able to get 2 card bases from one sheet. So that means if I grab 4 pieces of thick basic white, we'll get beyond the way to getting the 8 cards in total. I'm just making sure. It's so thick, and I keep thinking, oh, I must have 2 pieces there. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not that I can't count to 4. It's just that my fingers were having trouble knowing what there was. Okay, so I'm going to start right away with my scoring, because if I score the one sheet just once, then I cut, I'll get 2 cards right away immediately. Where if I cut it first, then I have to pick up this piece and score it, and then pick up that piece and score it. So I'm saving time by doing my scoring first. And I'm going to score at 4 1/4, this long way down. So then when I cut at 5 1/2, I'll get 1, 2 tent fold cards. And I better get my scoring blade in place. The scoring blade is the light gray one, and I don't want to be accidentally cutting, because then I'll need to grab more paper. Okay, and I usually go back and forth a couple times with my scoring blade, and there we go. There's a start. And I don't know how well that shows up for you. Probably not at all, because this white light is glaring. But there is a score line down the middle. And when I go to fold it, I'll definitely be able to tell that it's there. Because what the scoring does is it loosens not loosens, it breaks down the fibers in the paper. So it makes it easy to bend there then. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, breaking down the fibers. Number 3 and last one is number 4. Okay, and now I'm going to take and turn my papers the other way, and I'll do the cut. And the half of 11 is 5 1/2 inches, so there's my 5. Go over 1/4 and then 1/2 inch. There we go, 5 1/2. And my 2 cards, voila, just like that. So I'll grab my other pieces here, and this is kind of how I work. I batch things, like I'll do all the scoring in one direction, and then I only have to, keep that one measurement in my head, and then I do all the cutting in the other direction, and then again I can focus on just one measurement. If I'm going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth between the measurements, then there's a chance that I'm gonna mess up. So card base is ready to go. Now the next thing I want a layer of white cardstock to go on the front, and my layer is going to be 5 inches by 3 3/4. And so here's another reason why I decided to make 8 cards today. It's because I can get 1, 2, 3, 4 fronts for my cards out of one sheet. So I've grabbed actually here 2 sheets, and this is not the thick white. This is just the basic white, which is a little bit of a thinner cardstock. So I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to do what I call the subtraction method of cutting, but you can do it however you want. So I'm going to start and cut it at 10 inches, and then you can keep that and use that for another card where you need a little strip for a greeting or something. It's always handy to have those at times. And then I'm going to subtract 5 inches. So there I've got 2 sets of 5 and 5, and I'll do that the same thing with the other sheet. So I'll start at 10 inches, and then I'll move it over, so subtract 5 inches, so that I've got the 5 and 5. Now I'm going to take these and I'm going to turn them sideways, and I want it 3 3/4 and 3 3/4. So double of that is 7 1/2. I'm not that good at math, but I've just done this so many times that's how I, and then go down and you get 2 pieces at 3 3/4. So just rinse and repeat. Yeah, you do get good at fractions when you are a card maker, don't you? Yeah. 7 1/2 and 3 3/4. So there's 4. Now I've got just a couple more to go here. 7 1/2, 3 3/4. This is basically how I prep for my classes, except that for my classes I have a large utility trimmer, and I can cut 2 to 3 sheets at a time, so it goes a little bit faster. But just for my own personal use, this works really well. So there we go. We've got 8 card bases and 8 layers of basic white at 5 inches by 3 3/4. Now, since I'm doing everything in 8ths, let's see, next I want to grab, my designer paper. So this Christmas paper came out in the fall with the fall winter mini catalog, and let's see what the name of this paper is. I've got some of it here. Oops, I've bumped the stand there. So it's called Boughs of Holly, and I don't think it's available anymore, unless I heard a rumor that Stampin' Up! Refreshed the clearance rack today. Maybe someone who's watching could confirm that. But I don't know, if they had extra of this paper, maybe some of this would show up there, or maybe not yet. Maybe it won't show up until the summer or sometime, if they had any left. Anyways, this is what it looked like, and it has like 3 different colors of red in it. It's got real red and cherry cobbler, and I think it might even have some of the poppy parade as well. I'm going to be needing 5-inch wide pieces by 2-inch pieces. So I'm just going to slide my 12 by 12 sheet in here and line up this edge here with the 5-inch mark. Can move the scoring blade out of the way, down at the bottom, and we'll cut that at 5 inches. Now, if my math is right, I should get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Is that like, I should get 6 pieces, 6 2-inch pieces? That's something like that. But I can do the subtraction. I can just do 2 inches, move it 2 inches, move it 2 inches, or I can do the subtraction method of cutting too. So I'm over at the 10 inches here. I'm going to put these away in my scrap bin. They're just getting in the way for now. So 2 inches, there's 1. 2 inches, there's 2. 2 inches. I feel like I'm counting for cribbage. 3. 2 inches, there's 4. And 2 inches, there's 5. 2 inches, there's 6. But I'm making 8 cards. So I need to cut once more from here. And I could now cut another 5 inches and have a long strip like this. Or if I want to save a bigger part of this paper, depending on how you want to, how you want to preserve what's left of it, I can cut 4 inches at the top, like this, and then this I can put back into my package. And now I can go back to cutting this to 5 inches. This will go into my package as well. And here I'll cut this at 2 and 2. So this was 6, and here's 7 and 8. And the last thing I want is some real red cardstock. And I want to cut it at 5 inches by a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to put that in here. We're just cutting lots of things at 5 inches today. So 5. And I'm going to set this off to the side. We'll count and see if I need it. I don't think I will, because this is 8.5 wide, and I should be able to get like 8 times 2 is, yeah, no, I'm not going to need it, because I'm cutting this at 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch width strips. And I find when I'm doing the 1/2 inch widths, I like to use the measurement on this side of my paper trimmer, because I'm right-handed. So I'm feeding the paper through to the 1/2 inch mark, laying the cutting assembly down, and there's a 1/2 inch one, and then you can just guess how I go, like that, a 1/2 inch 2, and I keep doing my counting all the way up to 8, 1/2 inch 3. Oh, I feel my 4. You get how that goes. Okay, I'll stop there, but I do all the way to 8, and I'd get plenty out of just that half. A half a sheet is more than I would need. So yeah, not using a whole lot of supplies to create this card. And like I said, it's super simple. I think I can move this out of the way now. I can start doing some assembly. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to glue this piece of designer paper, 2 inch width, to this strip so that I have a small contrasting band of red that's showing along the long edge. And let's see, how that's about 1/8 of an inch, or if you prefer to use centimeters, like maybe about a 1/2 centimeter, something like that. And you could use the adhesive that you prefer. So if you've got a tape runner, you can just take and run your tape runner all the way down, and then you can lay it on top just like that and try and do it evenly. You could put a grid sheet underneath you if that kind of helps you to line it up with the lines on the grid sheet. You might find that some of the stickiness like hangs out over the back, and that's okay, as long as it's not sticking to something that's important. This is going to eventually get stuck down onto the next layer of the card. So you can use a tape runner if you like, or if you prefer, you can use the liquid glue. And the liquid glue is nice because it does give you a little bit more of that time to wiggle your pieces into place. And I don't know if you noticed, I flipped that paper, the designer paper, over because I was looking to see which was top and bottom, and I want this thin strip of cardstock to be at the bottom of my designer paper. So yeah, actually that's kind of nice because yeah, I can make this liquid glue, just this liquid glue line, a little bit thinner than I can with the, oh, I just did what I said I wasn't going to do. I think this is the top of the pattern, because see the, yeah, okay. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry, and then I can use it again. Okay, look to see. There's the way. There it is. My pattern is at the bottom of my pattern there. Okay, I was saying something before this, and now I forgot what I was saying. Anyways, there we go. It mustn't have been very important. Okay, we'll do the one more. But I've got enough so that I'm going to have 8 cards. Yeah, this is going to be the year, guys, that, yeah, last year was pretty good too. I had, by the end of this year, when I'd done my 12 months of Christmas, I had quite a few cards made, and that was handy. And if you don't need Christmas cards, well, lots of people need birthday cards, or sometimes you need batches of thank you cards for something. So you could use the same layout and just use, grab the paper, the designer paper that suits the occasion that you're making cards for. Okay, we'll stop there for now. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these 2 pieces to the top of my white cardstock layer. And I'm going to start by gluing them temporarily, and I'll show you why. So some of you have seen me do this before. Okay, put this on now. To do temporary glue, I like to use a tape runner, like a Stampin' Seal. I'm just going to put a little bit on there, and then I'm going to take, it can be your sweater, your shirt, your jeans, whatever. You're going to put some fibers from your clothing on there, and that makes it so that it's not going to hold your paper permanently. That's just to hold it temporarily. And I'll show you why I want it to be temporary. I'm going to stamp my words down here, and I'm going to use real red ink because the cardstock contrasting band here was also real red cardstock. And I've got the one, Love and Joy Come to You and May It Last the Whole Year Through. Boy, is it ever crooked. I've got that not very straight on the block, but hopefully when I stamp it, I'll kind of get it sort of, well, but you know what? Here, I'm going to mess up purposely. Okay, pretend I stamp it, and I'm like, ooh, that's really, yeah. So here's the thing. I have the option now, because I only adhered this temporarily, to flip this over, and I can try it again, and I have a second chance on the other side. Now, you might have noticed something else about when I stamped here. My red is really starting to need juice. It's getting dried out a bit. So I have grabbed my real red ink, and I don't know if you can see how yellow the label has turned, and I think maybe the plastic of the bottle is turning yellow too. That's because I've had this ink refill for so long. Like, these ink refills last a long time, which means that your ink pads will last a very long time too. So I always recommend that you get a refill to go with your ink pad. If you accidentally leave this open and it's, you know, drying out overnight, then you can rejuice it up again. And if you've used it a lot, you can juice it some more. If you decide you don't like the color anymore and you want to sell it or give it to somebody, it's more valuable to that next person if it's got a refill to go with it. So, and I think some of you heard me say a couple weeks ago that the other demonstrators and I are like 99% sure that Stampin' Up's going to be doing a color refresh from all the colors in our catalog, in our current annual catalog. Now I'm looking to see, where did I set that catalog? Yeah, this catalog here. And we have 4 main color families. There's the brights, there's the neutrals, there's the subtles, and there's the regals. In fact, look at this. There they are. There's the color families. Plus then there's in colors too, which are a complete category on their own. But we're pretty sure that all of those color families are going to have some refreshes to them, some changes. See, I've even made a list of things that maybe I was just guessing that maybe those colors might not be available when the new catalog starts in May. So I've been suggesting to everyone, pull out your inks and see which ones you don't have ink refills for. You might want to get the refills now, because once we find out on March 1st what colors are retiring, the ink refills and the coordinating cardstock of the especially popular colors are going to disappear quickly. And I hate for people to be disappointed that they can't get the refill that they want for their ink pad. So that's about all that I do. I do a little bit in one direction and a little bit in the other. You can go back with the nozzle and try and rub it in a little bit more and even it out, but you don't want to overdo it, because if you do, what will happen is you'll start, when you stamp, you'll start to get splatters of ink, and that doesn't look so good on the project. Well, maybe you want splatters, but not usually. Okay, so here we go. I can turn this over. I think I'm going to do it. So I'm stamping here, and then this red doesn't accidentally show through. So I'll temporarily stick this at the top again. And now I have to take my time. Some inking suggestions for those of you who are, again, just getting started in your card making journey. When we're putting ink on here, pushing into the ink pad is not going to get you the best ink. What's going to get you the very best ink is tapping evenly several times. Because when you're putting ink on your stamp, you're putting millions of little droplets of ink, and you want all those droplets to be even, and so that when you stamp it, it's a nice even image on your paper. And so, yeah, I like to just tap it a few times. If I'm worried that one part of my ink pad might be drier than the other, I'll move it around, but I try and make sure those droplets of ink are even. And now I've probably almost over-inked this because of having just put fresh ink onto it. So I'm gonna stamp it off and just do it again gently. Yeah, and not to push hard, because if I push hard, this is basically a sponge and it will just make ink seep everywhere into the pictures or the letters. Now I can take my time and center my stamp over where I want to stamp. And then I'm going to set it down. I'm going to push a little bit, but I'm not going to push super hard. I just want to make sure that, again, that all those droplets of ink make contact with my paper. And I feel like I kind of got that a little bit crooked again. So what I can do for that is I can practice on a sheet with lines on it, and I can decide, okay, what am I going to look at? What words, like maybe this line whole year through, see if I look at that and try to follow straight through with that. That can sometimes help me. Or I can change how I've attached this to the block, and I can line up the block, the edge of the block, with one of the grid sheet lines. So there's a few different ways that you can line things up. So once I've done my stamping, I can go back and I can permanently adhere this. But you can see how if you temporarily adhere it, that gives you the chance to fix it up. Or you can just live dangerously and glue it down right away. I'm okay with that too, whatever works for you. But if you like to, be able to save on your designer papers and get the most out of it, that might help you with that. So I'm going to, these next few I'll do just the live in dangerously one where I'm going to glue them down right away. But you do have that option like I said, and if you're really wanting to go fast, you can put adhesive on a few of them at a time and try and glue them down quickly before the glue dries. There's a few things once you get going in doing things in batches that can speed up the process. So 1 and 2 and 3. And the other thing that can help you speed it up the process if you're doing things in batches is to put your stamp on what's called the stamparatus, which is a stamp positioning tool. And once you get your stamp lined up on that, you don't have to worry that you're not stamping straight, because you'll have it all ready to go. It'll be all ready straight for you. But we'll just continue with this for now and do these last couple pieces. Oops. So let's see if I can get this a little bit straighter and take my time. Got tapped on those droplets of ink. There we go. And tap, tap, tap. Even droplets of ink. And last one for now. I'll just do the 4. Even droplets of ink and gentle pressure. There we go. Love and joy come to you, and may it last the whole year through. Oh, lovely. So you want to be careful with that. You don't want to infect your nice white papers. So sometimes it's handy to have wipes or hand sanitizer, that kind with alcohol in it, because the alcohol can help to lift some of that ink off. So now, see, there we go. Got the ink on the side there, but we'll persevere. This will be my remember what not to do, Shauna. So as I said, I'm mass producing, making a batch of these cards. So I'm adding the dimensional adhesive now, which is the adhesive that'll lift up the layer and pop it up slightly from the base of the card, add a little bit of interest and depth. So these are just foam, and there, we'll do the 3 for now. And then I can go back and I can peel off the backing of these really fast. Now that they're all stuck down, it makes it quick and easy to peel them off that way. If you happen to have a take your pick tool, some of you might have seen me do this the other time. You can go in with an angle with the pokey tool, with the paper piercer, and lift off the backings that way. Yeah, and if you're good, once you get that angle, the right angle, it can go pretty fast. So another great way to batch your making of Christmas cards. Now, these are all set to glue onto bases. And I'm going to take a break because I've been talking way too much. I'm just going to look to see if there are any questions that have come through about what I've been showing you so far. Donna Browson says, not there. Mostly stamps on the refresh. I'm not sure what you were getting to there, Donna. Sorry about that, but maybe you're not at Christmas yet. If that's, I totally understand you. That's why I was doing something simple too right now, because I just wasn't quite there with getting into the full Christmassy mode yet. So this was Christmas Express. So I'm somewhat trying to center this layer on the front of my card base. And boy, once I've got all those, I'm going to turn this over. Sometimes you can see the back piece of the base sticking out underneath the front. And so I like to put it so that it's flush and hides the back the back of the base there. Goes pretty fast once you've got those layers of the dimensionals removed. So I think because this is such striking Christmas paper, you could almost just leave your card and go with it just like this. But the card that I did see online, where I got this quick idea from, here's a fourth card, the demonstrator used some, I think she used red embellishments, and 3 red embellishments. So I pulled out red, but I'm going to try a few different colors, and maybe you guys can vote and tell me which color you like best for embellishments. These are our red rhinestones from the annual catalog. And it always works well to do things in 3. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3, something like that. So there's what it looks like with red. And then I thought, well, maybe red's overdoing it, because there's the red in the trim and the red in the berries and the red in the words. So then I pulled out my regular rhinestones. So we'll use just the regular kind of silvery looking rhinestones. Oops. Sometimes you have to mold the putty back up in your take your pick tool so that it's not hanging out all over creation. Let's see, I'll do 1. I'm going to try the configuration slightly different on this one. 2. Oh, I don't know if I like that. I've already changing my mind of where I'm putting my 1, 2. Sometimes I like to move them around and change the configuration of the embellishments just to see if it feels better to me or not. That's kind of how I go sometimes. Just like, does it feel better? Does it feel right? There we go. We'll just go with that. So there's the red, and then there's the silver, and then I'm like, oh, what about gold? Because gold, is pretty and Christmassy and metallic. The funny thing is, these are pastel adhesive backed sequins, and they're from our mini catalog right now. But the funny thing is that the gold, to me, is not really pastel. The pink is pastel and the blue is pastel. And I don't know, I never looked, I can't remember what the catalog called that color, but to me it looks like metallic gold, and it seems rich and Christmassy. So I'm gonna, oh, look at that. Okay, so there's 2 sheets of them. There's a sheet with larger sized adhesive back sequins and smaller sized ones. So I'm gonna go, let's see, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. And finally, the last thing that I picked that I thought, okay, maybe gold isn't quite right either. I looked and looked and looked, and I found in my stash these rustic metallic adhesive backed dots, and they're almost, they're like a rusty grayish brown, sort of like the background of that paper. And so I thought, well, maybe that's the ticket. Maybe that's the color that I want. So we'll go and try this color. 1, 2, and 3. Those are kind of spread out further. And so I'm going to stop for now. My question to you is, what do you think looks best? The plain rhinestones, the red rhinestones, the gold sequins, or the rustic rustic dots. And part of me is like, well, I mean, they all have their benefits, and I think it could have even been just fine without any embellishments. But like I said, the person's whose card I was casing, she had some embellishments on hers, so I was kind of going with that. But let me know in the comments what you think. If it's the plain rhinestones, the red rhinestones, the gold sequins, those are kind of growing on me. And so are these, the rustic dots, just to finish it off. And depending on what color of designer paper that you've picked for your project, and maybe even what color you pick for this accent trim in the just that plain cardstock color, might depend on that, might create a variation on what embellishments you decide to go with for your cards. So let's see here. Okay. Oh, the paper was not there. Oh, oh, I got it right. Yes, I was kind of wondering, Donna, if it might have been, yeah, I heard there was a refresh and I haven't looked at it at all. So I need to go take a peek. Thanks, Glenda. Oh, glad you like that. And so Pam and Donna and Glenda are all saying the gold, and this one, yeah, it definitely pops. I see what you're saying. It really attracts your eye for sure. Yeah. Like I said, the person who did a card something like this, her paper was a little different, but it had red, and she had used red embellishments. But like I said, yeah, I kind of thought there was a lot of red on there already. And so the gold is a nice contrast. And these are like super simple. Like you can't get a Christmas card that's much simpler than stamps, paper, and ink. But if you're wanting to make a whole bunch of cards and get going, this will help you get a bunch of them done all in one fell swoop, and yeah, you'll be on your way for the next Christmas season. So Inez, thank you. Oh yeah, thanks for stopping by to check them out. I appreciate all your comments, and if you end up making a card based on this pattern, I'd love to see what paper you use, how it turns out, you know, what greeting you went with. So please do share. I think we can learn a lot from each other, and hope you have a great rest of your week, and stay warm out there. Thanks so much, Donna, and we'll hopefully talk to you again about this time next week. Bye for now.